In 2007, on the night of August 4, Andrew Martin Kratt and his cousins, Gabriel Dauraim and Ronnie Godinez, were hanging out on the corner of 7th and Linden Streets in Bloomington. Dauraim, age 14, was playing with his scooter and Kratt and Godinez were sitting on the curb and smoking marijuana. Defendant approached the three cousins, walking quickly with his head down and his hands in his pocket. Defendant wore a black hoodie sweatshirt and a black and white bandana covering his face, from his chin to the tip of his nose. Kratt offered defendant a hit of the marijuana, using a joking-type gesture. Defendant angrily demanded to know where Kratt was from. While still seated, Kratt replied, "Compton. Tortilla Flats." Defendant responded, "Fuck the fags," fired 4 shots at Kratt, and ran away. The cousins had all begun to stand up before the shooting, but Kratt was still sitting when he was shot. When Sheriff's Deputy Thomas Jolin arrived at the scene, Kratt was unconscious and not breathing. The autopsy found Kratt had suffered 3 gunshot wounds and a bullet severed his spinal cord. The bullet was lodged in the mid-chest and spinal canal. There were 2 entrance wounds, consistent with Kratt being shot while seated. At the crime scene, the police found 4.380 caliber shell casings. A black bandana with a white pattern on it was found about 2/10 of a mile away. DNA analysis of the bandana established a match with defendant. About a week or 2 after the shooting, Godinez saw gang graffiti, "West Side Bloomas," written at the corner where Kratt was shot. Godinez testified that, before the shooting, he obtained some marijuana from a person called Bert or Smokes. Sheriff's deputies, Neil Rodriguez and Frank Bell, interviewed defendant on April 8, 2009, during an unrelated incarceration. Sergeant Rodriguez told defendant that he was investigating Kratt's homicide and defendant denied knowing Kratt. Defendant admitted he was originally from Compton and he was once part of the Compton Locos gang and had gang tattoos. He denied he still claimed that gang. Defendant said his nickname was Frosty, not Slim. Defendant did not know where he was the night of Kratt's homicide. Although defendant had family and spent time in the Bloomas area, he had not been around for a while. Defendant said he would try to help out with information. After leaving the interview room, defendant talked to a fellow inmate who was a confidential informant, CI, wearing a hidden microphone and recording device. In their conversation, the CI repeatedly called defendant Slim. Defendant told the CI he had told Rodriguez his nickname was not Slim but Frosty. Defendant said the interview was about the death of Andrew Kratt, the fool from the flats and from Compton. Defendant told the CI somebody must have snitched on him and Smokes. During the incident, Smokes was driving a car. Defendant, wearing a bandana and a hoodie, was alone when he confronted Kratt about 8 p.m. on the street. Defendant wanted someone to tell his girlfriend to get rid of the car and to tell Smokey not to be running his mouth out there about that shit we did. When the CI asked about the gun, defendant replied, "Yeah, it's been gone. I gave it to the homies and I think they got cracked with it." Smokes is Michael Cervantes, a Bloomas gang member. On January 19, 2010, Rodriguez contacted defendant under an arrest warrant and told him there was DNA evidence connecting him to a homicide. Defendant made a phone call, apparently to his father, and said, "It's a wrap." Defendant was arrested for Kratt's murder. Gang evidence. It is not clear from the record whether defendant meant trap instead of rap or possibly trap. Fontana police officer, Buddy Porch, testified as a gang expert. He identified Bloomas as a Hispanic criminal street gang with about 100 members. The Bloomas gang claimed the area at 7th and Linden in Bloomington as their territory. Porch explained that gang graffiti appearing at a homicide site expresses gang support and intimidation. Porch described defendant as an active Compton Varrio Locos associate of the Bloomas gang. Porch explained a transitional gang member is someone who still pays homage to his original gang but associates with another gang in a different area in order to sell drugs. Porch testified that defendant pleaded guilty to possession for sale of a controlled substance in 2008 in violation of Health and Safety Code Section 11378 and admitted the Penal Code Section 186.22, Subdivision B1, Gang Enhancement. Defendant committed the previous offense at his home in Bloomington where there was graffiti related to his original gang, the Compton Varrio Locos, and his gang moniker, Slim. Defendant also had Compton Varrio Locos gang tattoos, Compton, sick, on his abdomen, a St. Louis Cardinals symbol on his back, signifying L for Locos, and Locos on his right arm. Defendant's two brothers were active members of the Compton Varrio Locos gang. Porch testified the Compton Varrio Locos gang and the Compton Tortilla Flats gang, to which the victim belonged, are bitter rivals. In 2007, the Locos would call the Flats fags to show disrespect. Law enforcement records from 2007 showed that the Locos used weapons to assault the Flats. By asking "Where are you from?" a gang member intends to establish his territorial authority. If a Locos gang member associated with the Bloomas gang killed a Flats member in 2007, the killer would gain major respect from the Locos and the Bloomas gangs. The Bloomas gang members would view the killer as showing allegiance by respecting their area and protecting their territory. Porch's opinion was defendant killed Krat for the benefit of, in association with, or in furtherance of the Bloomas gang.